Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So let's talk about the trailer for episode 17 titled Home Sweet Home. I actually missed the episode title. They did mention it there. I did hear that, but I wasn't sure if that was the episode title because usually they could have just named the teaser or the trailer that, right? But no, Kari Payton does say the episode title and stuff like that. But there's a lot more to talk about here. I rewatched it and there was a lot of things that went right over my head. First of all, there's a lot of characters here that I never talked about. Why are they here during this table read? It's because they're going to be a big part of the episode. There's also characters that aren't here, and there's some dialogue said at the end, and also something that Kari Payton says afterwards that just like, yeah, it says so much about the episode. So I want to talk about this episode and go more in depth here. I made a bunch of notes. So before we go any further, I do have to warn you, obviously, for spoilers for the Walking Dead Season 10 finale. And if you are new to the channel and you want more Walking Dead content like this, make sure to be a subscriber. That teaser trailer, like the real trailer where we actually see some footage, is probably going to come out in the next month or so. I mean, I'm expecting the end of November for Talking Dead, but I'm also reviewing Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond and stuff. So if you want my reviews on all of that, just make sure to be a subscriber. So like I said, episode 17 is titled Home Sweet Home. And I saw that for the episode title, but I wasn't sure because they could have just labeled that for the teaser trailer or whatever. But Kari Payton does say as he's reading the script, he's like, okay, this episode, Home Sweet Home, episode 17 or whatever. So yeah, that's confirmation that episode 17 is titled Home Sweet Home, which I'm guessing that's going to relate to Maggie, but also our characters going home, because our characters have been out for a very long time dealing with the Whisperers. And so I think this is them returning to the Hilltop or returning to Alexandria. And this is also Maggie coming back. Like, this episode is just everyone going home and dealing with the whole Negan thing, because that seems to be the major focus of this episode. Now, the one thing that I forgot to mention was that you have the actresses and I guess the actor who are actually here during this table read, and that is Kelly, Judith, Lydia, and Ezekiel. Now, I actually think Kari Payton is there just because he's the narrator. You need someone there that's not going to be a part of the episode to do the table read, right? To narrate the episode, to narrate how certain characters are going to feel, to set the tone and the mood and stuff. And so that's confirmation that Kari Payton, or I guess anyone like Ezekiel, Eugene, Yumiko, Princess, Commonwealth, they're not going to be a part of episode 17 at all. That's going to be something maybe in 18, 19, and so forth. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that, but that's my prediction right now. It seems like 17 is just going to focus on all of that stuff. It's really just going to focus on Maggie's return and what happens with that. And obviously just like resetting, going back to Alexandria and the Hilltop. What do you do there now? Like, how do we recover from this Whisperer War, right? Which I think is that's the perfect next step in the story, I think. Now, I think most of the scenes here are taking place in Alexandria. I've only heard from some people that that's where they're filming. I don't know if that's true. They're not like credible sources or anything like that. I've just heard from people that that's where they could be filming. And so I'm thinking maybe that's where they head first. I'm trying to think episode-wise how you would structure it. Would you start the episode off with all of our characters still in the woods, and then that's where they meet? Like, Maggie will go meet Negan there or whatever. No, I'm thinking that it'll be Alexandria or the Hilltop. Like, some people are going to be there, although the Hilltop is really destroyed, and I just think arriving to Alexandria first is the smart move. And maybe the episode ends with Maggie returning to the Hilltop and deciding to rebuild and stuff like that, and that she's going to stay here. So I think the way the episode is going to start, to be honest, is we're going to see a bunch of people arrive. Like we might see Daryl, Negan, and a lot of other people in Alexandria already, just because it makes sense that you would just go back there. And then they see Maggie and them arrive, because they are separated. They're very close together, but they are separated, and they might not think to meet up somewhere. They might just head straight back, right? And the reason that you know that they all meet up, first of all, we already have like conversations between Maggie and Negan, but we also have Kelly, Judith, and Lydia. They were all there. Like, they're all with, like, Judith, and I don't know, I think it's just Judith is with Maggie. And then we have Lydia and Kelly, who's with Daryl and all of them. So I think it makes sense that they're all going to meet up in Alexandria. And that really is just a prediction of mine. They could meet up at the Hilltop. They could meet up in the woods still. I'm thinking episode structure wise and where you would want to start the story. Maybe you just have one of the groups in Alexandria already, and then the other one arrives, and then that's where you see them reuniting, and like Daryl sees Maggie for the first time and all of that. Regardless, we know they're going to be making it back to one of those two communities. And I've heard things about Alexandria, so I'm thinking Alexandria. It doesn't really matter how they start off if they meet in the woods and all that. Most of their conversations later on in the episode take place in one of those communities, and I'm thinking obviously that it has to be Alexandria. But I never caught the last part of the trailer, and that is what Carol says to Daryl. She's never going to come around on him, you know. And then Daryl says, "What have or why have you?" And then Carol says, "It was good to see her," and so she kind of ignores it, which was just like perfect Carol dialogue right there. Because I think she has accepted Negan already. She has come around on him. She's totally cool with Negan being out. Now it's just sort of a situation where how does she tell people all of that? And so in that scene, we did have Maggie, Carol, and Daryl. They were all talking about this, and this is around Act 2. Because after Carol says this, like after she says it was good to see her, Kari Payton says, and that ends Act 2. And so if there's a 3-act structure in this episode, which with most things that is what that is, this would be like 2/3 in the episode. And so that just like mapped out the whole episode in my head, at least 2/3 in. I think the Maggie and the Negan conversations where Maggie was like, "So you're out," and then Negan's like, "Well, I never broke out or escaped if that's what you're thinking." And that I think that actually happens earlier on, but Maggie just walks away because she's going to deal with it later. They're all arriving to Alexandria. They're all just like recovering, and then, you know, hugging and saying hi to Maggie and stuff like that. Things are going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as you're like 2/3 into the episode, so, you know, the second third of the episode, that's where a lot of that downtime stuff is going to happen between Daryl, Carol, and Maggie, where they talk about Negan. They have that conversation, and then it just ends right there, the end of Act 2, and then we're into the third and final act of the episode, and then like what happens there. Like, they don't normally share anything from the last third or the last act of the episode, so that's probably going to be something that we have to see, or I guess wait for to see in that episode when it airs. But my prediction for that last third, and again, I do think these 6 episodes, they're probably going to be treated a lot like the first 5 episodes of season 9 when Rick was there. How you had like these cliffhangers, things would end like this, and then, you know, you focused more on character drama and things like that, which is why I'm so excited for these 6 new episodes, because it's going to be the same thing. Like those first 5 episodes, the main issue was the Saviors and Negan. Maggie didn't want to help out. She didn't want to do anything there. And now we're kind of in the same situation. And honestly, for the fan base and stuff, when I posted my last video, a lot of people seem to be pretty much, they understand why Maggie could never accept Negan, which I think is smart. I think she never can. But there's also a lot of people who do point out some stuff that I do think is kind of forgotten a little bit, which is Rick and all of them did very horrible things as well. But because we were on their side, we just side with them, right? Whereas with Negan, he did some horrible things, but he was the enemy to us, right? But if we were on his side and we saw what Rick and them did to the Saviors of that outpost, they started that, we would also be pretty pissed about that, right? So it depends on the side that you're on. But I think regardless of that, you also have to understand where Maggie is coming from, because this personally attacked Maggie. She lost her husband because of him, right? So I understand why everyone else could probably accept Negan. Like Daryl and Carol might be able to come around on him a little bit more. Maybe not Daryl as much, because he punched Negan and that led to Glenn's death. And you know, he has more of a personal connection to why Glenn died. But you can't ever expect Maggie to accept him. It's just not possible, because she lost her husband because of him. Regardless of good or bad, if our group was the villains, it doesn't matter. She lost someone because of him. She'll never be cool with them. It's impossible, right? Like, so I'm interested in seeing how it's going to wrap up. I don't know where this is going to go. Because the only possibility to me is that Negan is told to leave. You're not allowed here. You have to leave, go far away. And that's what you get. Because Maggie also mentions here that that's the reason why she left. Even though Negan, she was okay with him being in that cell, he took up too much of her headspace and she could not focus on things, and she didn't want Herschel around that. And so I think at the end of the day, at the end of the final season, that's going to be the decision that is made. Maggie, Daryl, and Carol are going to say, you know what, you can live. We will allow you out of here because of stuff that you've done, and you've helped a lot with this community, but we don't want you here in Alexandria anymore. You have to leave. Which in that sense, Maggie kind of gets her way, because then Negan's not around anymore. He's out of her life and she can just move on. And then if you think about it, Negan, he also kind of gets his way because he gets to live and move on and do something else. But he is losing a lot of family, because I think Judith to him is like his family, but his ending's going to be sad and heartbreaking no matter what. Like, I don't know where you can really go with that character because of the things that he's done. There's just people around that just won't accept it. Maybe if Maggie died or Herschel died or something, then, you know, or if they just stayed out of the picture, then maybe it could be fine. But I don't know. That is kind of where I see it going. I think that's why the comic made sense. That's just where they went with it. Because again, Maggie she cannot ever accept that. There's no way where it makes sense. Unless they could be creative with it, where maybe Negan tries to help Maggie out a lot more. And we start seeing that where he's really helping out Herschel, saves Herschel's life, and apologizes to Maggie. Like, you know, he's on his knees, he's crying, he's like, I can't believe I ever did that. You know, like, I don't even think Maggie can forgive him then, but maybe she can understand a little bit more. I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes. But episode 17, like, you know, just based off of this dialogue here, it seems to be the first step in exploring all that. And yeah, I just can't wait to see what they're going to do with that. So post all your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys thought about the trailer. Do you think they go to Alexandria first, or do you think they're going to go to the hilltop first? And also, what do you think that last act of the episode is going to be? Do you think it's going to be Maggie actually going to the hilltop and seeing the destruction there, or do you think it's going to be something related to Negan? Do you think there could be something where, I mean, I don't know, honestly, I don't really know where they go with it, because this is just, it's all uncharted territory when you relate it to Negan and all that anyways, because we're basically out of comic material with that character now. Like, everything has been done. The only thing that hasn't been done is that he was exiled, but they could do that still, but it's a little too early. So yeah, I don't know, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about all this. So post your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.